and welcome to a new episode of Members on Air, an HCSTL podcast. This is the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce podcast. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody to follow us on all of our social media accounts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever was the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro St. Louis. And now going into our show today, we have Sheila Webster. She's the Outreach Manager for Conflict Resolution Center in St. Louis. Hi, Sheila. How are you?
Oh, good morning. I'm doing well.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us today. I know it was kind of like a last minute last week. I just gave you a call, and I'm super excited and super glad that you were able to say yes and able to participate with us today.
When anyone asks for us, we try and just get there.
Yeah.
We're really about service.
Awesome. That's great. But before we get started with the conversation, just tell people a little bit about Sheila, who you are, what you do.
Sure. I was born and raised in St. Louis, North City, North County area. I left for a while. I came back. My whole career for about 32 years has been as a landlord, a regional property manager over sites. And so when the pandemic hit, I wanted to shift my focus and work for a nonprofit. So probably work for my heart rather than my wallet. And Conflict Resolution Center had an intake coordinator position open, and it was to help with intaking all the cases that they were getting due to the pandemic. So I started there part-time, and I went to full-time rather quickly, and then kind of grew with the company, and I'm now doing all the outreach.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's great. And now talking about, like, you say you're doing all the outreach for the Conflict Resolution Center in St. Louis. What is the Conflict Resolution Center? And because in the name it says St. Louis, I'm assuming there's other conflict resolution centers in the United States, like in different states. Just tell us a little bit about that. What is the Conflict Resolution Center?
Conflict resolution's been around for a long time. One of the first Nobel Peace Prize winners, Ralph Bunche, won a Nobel Peace Prize for mediation. And so
awesome. I didn't know that.
In the St. Louis area, but in the St. Louis area, we started out of the about 2017, our agency, and it was a recommendation from the Ferguson Commission with the unrest in Ferguson. And so it came out of the Ferguson Commission that they should have mediation, especially between police officers and citizens. And so it kind of started small as a volunteer group, and we've grown through the years. But we do a full resource of conflict mediation, conflict coaching, education, trainings, all kinds of things related to conflict. But our agency is based in the city of St. Louis. However, there is the Missouri Association of Mediators. There's mediation agencies all across the country doing some really wonderful things. And when you say St. Louis, do you guys also cover, like, I don't know, like St. Charles County or different county, or do you guys only do like St. Louis County? Well, it's funny you ask that. We're funded by the city of St. Louis. So we actually are funded by the Department of Health and Human Services and then the Affordable Housing Commission. So some of our specific work that we do is city bound, right? Within those boundaries. But we do have other services that we can offer to county residents and businesses.
And now that you mentioned,
there is usually a fee for that. It's not funded by a grant.
Gotcha. So when it's funded by a grant, when you guys do it here in St. Louis, there's no charge.
Yes, it's free.
Awesome. So if I had we'll get into more here in a minute, but before I lose my questions and my train of thought, you were mentioning about that you guys offer different services, not only in St. Louis, but you say, like, for St. Charles County or other counties, you guys offer other programs. I saw on your website you guys have this section where it's like training and education. So, like, what kind of training and education do you guys offer? Like, what does that mean?
Well, we can train people to become mediators. So we have what's called the Rule 17 or Basic Core Mediation Training. We hold those twice a year. Our cohort that's starting up in July, next week, I think, is full. And then that's usually like 18 an hour. It goes over a weekend course. And that is what the state of Missouri requires you to be a civil mediator. We found that a lot of our people that were attending that class wanted more, and they wanted real life experience. So we created a whole program that's called the Mediator Apprenticeship Program, or MAP. And it's a 6-month training where they get to come and they follow mediators during mediations, real life mediations. Most of them are community-based mediations. And then they can actually then co-chair a next set of mediations, and then they will mediate with someone shadowing them.
Awesome.
So it's kind of a growth. It gives them a lot of experience and a lot of just interesting cases.
Okay. And does that program have a cost, and how can people apply to it?
Yes, it does have a cost because we have to pay the trainers for it.
Oh, yeah,
and,
of course.
It's online. I want to think it's about $600 for
Okay.
mediation.
For the 6 months?
Our scholarship's available.
Okay.
We encourage anyone of any background to apply.
Okay. How can they apply?
They apply online at our website, crcstl.org/map, which is MAP, or /Rule 17.
Okay.
So you'll find it under the education header on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the mediations, how do you guys prepare? Do you guys prepare differently for certain kinds of mediation? And what kind of mediation do you guys offer? Because I know there's different kinds.
Well, that's a really loaded.
I know.
We try to stay true. We don't try to vary to a whole bunch, because what we try to do is with integrity and make sure that we're really making a difference for our clients that we do have. So we don't want to put our fingers in too many pots, for instance. So we do landlord-tenant mediations.
Okay.
We do tenant-to-tenant.
Okay.
We do neighbor-to-neighbor mediations.
Okay.
We still do police-citizen. And a lot of times we'll do things for like neighborhood associations. If there's a group that has an issue with a business, or the business has an issue with its surrounding residential neighbors, we can mediate things like that. So those are kind of our core mediations that we do.
And how will those? So how will those?
I missed a point though that you asked about. How do we set up for it?
Yes.
Okay. That's probably what you were going to come back to. I forgot. That was the first part. Sorry, I get really excited.
No, you're okay. Yeah, of course.
So the easiest way is people will go to our website, and it can be a referral from like a caseworker, or it can be just one person in a party, and they put in their name and information and what the problem is. And then someone reaches out to them within 72 business hours and checks with them, and then usually checks with the other party that may be involved in the mediation.
Okay.
And then if both sides agree to the mediation, then we set that up. So, a mediation could take place within a week or 2 weeks from the first initial reach out. What I have told people since I was in the intake part before is come to the mediation with about maybe 5 different goals that you'd like to see. You're not going to get all of those probably, because a mediation a lot of times is a compromise. But if you have some things that you'd like to see happen, maybe you can live with 3 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. For instance, a landlord-tenant, and the tenant has a problem with the leaky roof, and they're not paying their rent because they want that and something else fixed, and the landlord wants something else. So everybody kind of comes in with their own ideas. The 2 participants in a mediation are the ones that create the outcome.
Okay.
We're just a neutral third party conducting the work with them. Yeah.
And you haven't mentioned it, so I'm gonna ask about workplace solutions, because I saw on your website you guys also have like a workplace solution. Do you guys also do mediation during like inside a company or something, or what does that, or how does that work?
Probably one of the biggest clients in St. Louis. We're the employee mediation agency for the city of St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
So for any city employees that have an employee-to-employee or employee supervisor issue, or the police department, or the airport employees, or any of the city employees, we help, I guess you could say, the personnel department by putting this mediation together and helping people get into a safe space. It's all confidential, where they can kind of just air out what their situation is, or when you said this, you made me feel like this, and it's really has been amazing. And what happened was during COVID, as everyone probably knows, communication broke down. Yeah. Really, a lot. And
everything broke down.
Yeah, everything broke down, but communication was really hard, and people working at home and all of that. So we had a lot of businesses and nonprofits reach out to us and ask us if there's any kind of training we could do for conflict management or de-escalation. So we started another portion of our agency, which is called Workplace Solutions, and that's kind of a fee based service. So
Okay.
it's separate from our grants.
Okay.
And that's one that we can do. We can do it. We've done trainings in California
Mm-hmm.
via Zoom because we do it virtually or in person.
Mm-hmm.
We can train for building a more empathetic workplace.
Okay.
We train for conflict management and de-escalation.
Okay.
We've also have another one that's called BART, which is great for a lot of startups,
Mhm.
and that will set the boundaries, authorities, rules, and tasks, so everybody kind of understands.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times that confusion at work comes from, I don't know if that's my job or your job, or I'm not gonna,
Mm-hmm.
where that falls. And so that has been very successful. The other thing is when we get in, sometimes people will call us either of two ways for these workplace solutions.
Mhm.
They're either having a problem and they need someone to help them,
Mhm.
or they want to plan ahead, like be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Okay.
yeah, but so we'll get people that say, we want you to come, we have a client now, we want you to come and do a mediation between two employees.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll set, a scale for that of whatever the cost is to us, and our fees are obviously much lower than attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Then this client said, well, I didn't know that you did this conflict assessment where we can do an assessment of their agency.
Mm-hmm.
We can help agencies with grievance policies,
Oh, okay.
what the program is and how they should report things. So we can do a lot more for agencies and nonprofits, just working one-on-one with them, and it's pretty in-depth. You can see a lot of our Google reviews on Google are from our business clients.
Awesome. I didn't know you guys did. Well, honestly, I didn't know that in a workplace people like use mediators, like when they had problems between like employees or like that's new for me, that I'm just learning right now. I didn't know that there were companies that were like, oh no, we need like a third party to come fix this because things are not great right now.
What happens a lot of times, which we found out, I guess I didn't really even know either,
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits don't have an HR department.
Right? Yeah.
And that's where usually the person is trained to do like the mediations or the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes, especially if it's like a supervisor, and I've been in this in the past myself, where you don't feel like it's very fair as the employee, right? Because you're actually talking it out between the HR person of your company.
Yeah.
So you also will hold back things that you don't want them to know or want to say, or feelings, things like that.
Yeah.
Ours takes it away from there. It's either at a neutral place or on Zoom or somewhere private.
Gotcha.
And it's just the two parties and our completely confidential, neutral third party. And then they come to some sort of an agreement and work it out. And so it really, it just takes that step away where people can let down their guard a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, because I feel like people would feel way more comfortable with someone that they know they can say something and it won't affect their work. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, whether like it's HR, we're all human. So if you tell me something, I might become like a little prejudiced towards you, or have like a different image of you that I thought I had. But if it's someone like with you that I don't know you, and I know that there's not going to be any bad repercussions of me telling you all these things, it makes sense that people would rather talk to you guys than to someone like you just mentioned, like a regular HR person or someone like that.
And one of the things we do on the prep on that is we don't give our mediators a lot of information. So they come in not knowing, and they can understand from the parties their feelings and their thoughts and the whole process just kind of with a clean slate.
Gotcha. They come with no biases.
Say, there's an employee and a supervisor, and maybe it's over hours. And we just kind of give them super basics.
Okay. And is conflict coaching similar to what you do in workplaces, or is that a little different?
It's actually different.
Okay.
It's free too.
Oh, there you go.
Coaching happens because it's when mediation doesn't work.
Okay.
So I always say mediation takes two to tango, right? You need two people in the room to work it out, sort it out. But sometimes that second party doesn't want to mediate. Yeah. So what happened was, we started this, I think it was last year, and we just got so many success stories with this, where we just get that client that comes and they get a one-on-one session with the mediator. And it's like, I don't know, an hour or 30 minutes to an hour, and they get to talk to them and talk through their situations and brainstorm and think about ideas and things that can come and happen and things like that. We helped a lady fight a case. She was being sued by like MSD and didn't know what to do, and our mediator was able to kind of contact the attorney for MSD, because it was going to court.
Oh, okay. What is MSD?
Oh, Missouri Sewer District.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's real scary.
Okay. Okay.
You don't pay your sewer bill, they kind of come in.
Oh, okay.
And people get nervous because they could put liens on your house.
I'll make sure to pay my sewer bills.
Well, and,
my utility bills.
It's also a visible thing, right? Like there's water in sewer, but you pay water because you see the water come out of the faucet. But sewer,
so yeah.
So you're like, oh, I can let that go for a while, and it builds up, and it becomes really onerous, especially for a lot of our residents that are in the city. So anyways, this woman found out quite a bunch of information, figured out, and our mediator was help her set up a payment plan with MSD.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if the case was dismissed, dropped, but it got all worked out.
That's great.
And she didn't have to go to court, but she was so empowered by what she learned in that conflict coaching that she said, I have another bill like this, and I'm going to do it myself.
That's great.
So, it's just some of the tools that you don't learn, right?
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah, no, that's great. So with conflict coaching, you guys pretty much you can teach someone to do it on their own, like from what you're saying.
Yeah, that can be the end result. Sure, it's a balance of power. Sometimes it's definitely brainstorming. It gives them more confidence. It gives them the tools to know who and how to call and what to say, those type of things. And those are free services also within the city of St. Louis to the residents.
That's great. And if a company or like a person, myself or somebody else want to contact you guys to resolve a problem or just to get more information on how to reach out to you guys, how can they do that? Is that the website? Is there a phone number they can call?
The fastest way is through our website.
Okay.
We have an intake line there.
Okay.
And it gets us the quickest information. It puts everybody kind of in a queue so we know who called and when. And it is crcstl.org/get help.
Get help.
So
Okay.
it's super simple to find the get help part of that.
Awesome. Awesome. So is there anything else you would like to take our viewers or followers? And then I have one more question for you to wrap up the show.
About our youth.
Okay. Yeah.
We were granted a grant, I should say, from the Mental Health Board.
Oh, awesome.
To help with 3 schools in the city of St. Louis to pilot a program to bring student-led peer mediation. So
awesome.
Student-led because the students decide how it's going to work out. So we did a focus group over the summer, and then we were able to bring it this year to one of our schools in St. Louis. We're working on a second one, and then for the St. Louis City Public School kids, we're actually in the library.
Oh,
We're in
awesome.
the Julia Davis Library, and we're doing 6-week sessions there. But it teaches the students the peer mediation model and how to be peer mediators and peacemakers.
Okay.
And so they're the mediators between their friends. And studies have shown there's it's in the 80s and 90s of lower suspension and expulsion rates when people can talk it out.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that program. That has a different website I'd like to give you, and that's peermediation.net.
Okay. Okay, we'll put it on our
stuff is open source. So if you have any educators or anyone, they can just go to them. People across the country have asked for that, and they can just go to our website and get all of our materials and stuff we've worked out for that program.
Great. No, that sounds like a great program. I mean, me as a boy when I was in high school and middle school, we used to fight about the dumbest things. Like seriously, it was like the dumbest thing. So it's great to have that skill to be able to mediate and actually have a conversation. People don't understand how powerful communication is and how you can resolve you can resolve almost anything by talking. Yes. And there's certain things you can't, but most of it can be resolved by talking, but we just don't talk. Yeah. So that learning that skill, it's a great thing for students for sure.
It is, and we also, the other thing I want to mention is we are partners with the Office of Violence Prevention for the city. Okay. And so we're not funded by them, but we do participate in all of them as an auxiliary partner because we feel that the people that are out on the street, the cure violence teams, and all of the other people that are out there helping with the guns and the violence and the things that are going on, they still get requests from other people that, my neighbor is bothering me, and we don't want those things to escalate. Yeah, so if they can do, like you said, learn that power of communication before things kind of get out of hand. Yeah. We're there for those.
Okay.
So we get a lot of referrals from the city, from the neighborhood improvement specialist for neighbor to neighbor work. So that works great. And with your small businesses, if they have issues in the city, with neighbors or things like that, we're able to help.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope our members that are listening and our followers that are listening on Spotify and watching it on Facebook, they get to reach out to you guys, because like you said, I mean, there's times where like a neighbor to neighbor, I've seen videos where they end up like shooting each other because they've been in a conflict for a year or so. Like, and it's like probably that could have been fixed. If somebody would have talked from the right beginning, that probably could have been fixed really easily. So.
Yeah. And when I first started, they told me it was a horror story of somebody who shot their neighbor because he mowed their grass. I guess their grass was too long. And they're like, that could have been solved.
Yeah, so like...
I know. But it's good to have like this neutral third person that's kind of on your team.
Exactly.
Team
Yeah.
that you can go to and express yourself. So that's what we're here for.
Awesome. That's great. I think my last question is, do you have a favorite mediation? Is there a favorite one that you're like, this comes up, you're like, I like to talk neighbor to neighbor. I don't know if there's one specific one you'd like.
You're going to ask me about my favorite. And of course, I was trained as a mediator when I started. And with my background in landlord-tenant, I decided to take on a case myself.
Okay.
And it was really cool.
Awesome.
We had a senior couple that had rented this house for 15 years in an up-and-coming neighborhood, South City area. And they got a 60-day notice from the management company that they had to move. And they were just beside themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't understand why. But they were supposedly selling the property. The owner was.
Okay.
And a bunch of people had come through and looked at it and all of that. And they were, I think they were in their 80s.
Oh,
and they had a really hard time, like, trying to even comprehend where we're going to go. And
for sure.
It was going to be... what am I trying to say? The whole neighborhood was getting like an upgrade, right? So we ended up finding out later that the house was going to be raised and they were going to build, gentrification, I guess.
Yeah, gentrification, right? Yes.
So it's very hard to find housing in St. Louis that's affordable.
Yes.
So we worked with them to try and work on that. I was in touch with both of their children that were out of state, trying to work this out, but I kept going back to the management company, and I was able to get a couple of things for them. I was able to get a moving allowance.
Well, that's good.
$1,000
Nice.
that they got paid back for all their moving expenses.
Yeah.
When they had lived there that long, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that the house was going to be raised, I also asked that they could have their deposit back right away, because they always say it takes 30 days. And I said, well, what are you looking for if you're going to raise the thing, right?
Yeah.
So their kids wrote a really nice note and said, we could not have ever done this without
That's
you.
great.
I extended them a few extra days with no fees because they needed time to get into the place. But this was all over 20 days. I mean, we were back and forth and back and forth.
That was quick, too. I mean, 20 days is quick.
Well, because they wanted the people out.
Yeah.
And I said, I can help you with that. So I was, you got to talk nice to the landlord and you got to talk nice to the resident.
Yeah.
Kind of say what's in everybody's best interest here.
Yeah. And that's great to have someone like you in that scenario, because maybe the older couple might have gone really aggressive towards the landlord or vice versa, and it just escalated and made things worse.
Yeah,
so.
we wanted to like have a suit. I'm like, you don't want to have an eviction on your record.
Yeah.
And then I think after 15 years of renting, they kind of felt a little bit of ownership. You get used to your neighbors, your doctor, everything around
of course.
So it was a big emotional upheaval for them.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of cases that really, mean a lot.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that with us and with our listeners. But Sheila, it's been great having you here. I told you it was gonna be easy. You did great. So thank you so much for sharing all these stories and sharing all that you guys do for the St. Louis community.
Oh, thank you. We are so excited to be members of the Hispanic Chamber.
Yes.
You guys do wonderful, wonderful work, and we have already reaped so many benefits.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Joining last month.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad that it's already working out.
It is wonderful.
Awesome. But we have reached the end of our members on air. Sheila Webster, Miguel Rincan, and we'll see you guys in the next one.